Hola, hola. I'm Zulean your Texas Rican host, and this is Una Preguntita. Each week, you and I take one big question and break it down to grow in this real and messy life we live in. From engineering to farming in Hawaii to running my own business, I have learned that life does not come with a manual, pero sí con preguntas, with questions. So, tell me, amigui, have you ever felt like you're thriving in one area of your life but lost in another? Yeah, been there too. Each week, you and I dive into the stuff nobody really teaches us: how to lead, connect, and communicate better, y con tools that you can actually use. Grab tu cafecito, get comfy, and let's figure this out together. Esto es Una Preguntita, where curiosity and understanding lead to action. Vamos! Okay, amigui. This week's preguntita is, why do you walk away from some conversations thinking, wait, that's not what I meant? You were trying to be clear, but the other person just didn't get it. So let's break this down. Being misunderstood is not fun, especially when you and I are out here trying to grow, lead, and build real relationships with others. I want to start off today with two communication scenarios. Number one, let's say you send a voice memo to your boss with a new idea that you're super excited about. Then she replies, let's keep focused on your current priorities. I'm like, damn, okay, ma'am. Guess I'll never bring something up. Todo dramático, right? But later, she says to you in person, I loved that idea you came up with. And now you're just like, they're confused. Like, what the heck just happened? This is an example of something that was off in communication. Okay, let's go with example number 2. You try to have a conversation with a friend to explain why you felt hurt, but they interrupted you mid-sentence with like, okay, but that's not what I meant. And just like that, walls start going up. Nothing gets resolved. What went wrong? You were trying, the words were there, but the message didn't land with the other person. It's moments like these why I created my workshop, Say It Right, How to Be Heard. Miscommunication isn't just frustrating, it can actually hold you back from growth, from connections, from being seen. We'll talk a little bit more about it later, but for now, let's get into that communication cycle so you understand why scenarios like these keep happening. Amigi, did you ever play telephone when you were growing up? Like that game where you whisper a sentence like, Melissa kissed Jonathan behind the gym. And by the time the whisper gets to the last person in line, it's something like, Marisa's mom is marrying the janitor. Like, what? How did it get from Melissa kissed Jonathan behind the gym to Marisa's mom is marrying the janitor? That is exactly how communication breaks down as adults, just a little less funny and sometimes with more consequences. The message gets messed up, not because people are lying, but because there's steps that are getting skipped. That brings us to the 7-step communication cycle. We're going to break it down. Pretend there are 2 people talking. The first person goes through these following steps. Número 1, they have a thought. Número 2, they organize the thought in their head. Y 3, they share the thought. Now we move on to person number 2, which goes into the 4th step, 4. They listen. 5, they interpret or they understand what the other person was saying. Número 6, they think of a response. And then 7, they move into responding. They actually talk, they respond. When one of these steps is skipped or rushed, yes, amigui, that's right, that is where we get miscommunication. This can look like either silence, defensiveness, confusion, etc. So let's come up with an example in order to break down those 7 steps. I know hearing it is a little bit harder than seeing it visually. So we are going to use an example using chisme. We all love a little chisme, a little juicy information about others, right? Okay, so pretend there are 2 neighbors talking to each other. Vecina número uno says, Mira, oye, vecina, I didn't tell you. I saw Juanito from downstairs let Maria into his house last night, and she didn't walk out until the next morning. But he's still married to Sarita. Then Vecina 2 comes and replies, No me digas. I saw them at the supermarket and I knew something was up. Ooh, I love some good chisme. Okay, so let's break down what happened here. So remember those 7 steps. Vecina número uno, number 1, the one that had the chisme, she went through step number 1. She had a thought. Chisme about Juanito from downstairs. She then went into step number 2, organizing the thought in the head. What is the best way to lay this information out? She then went into step number 3, sharing the thought. Oye, vecina, I didn't tell you. I saw Juanito from downstairs let Maria into his house last night. She didn't walk out until the next morning, but he's still married to Sarita. Okay, so those were first 3 steps. It was she had a thought, she organized the thought in her head, and then she shared it. Now we're going to move into step number 4. Vecina número 2 sat there and listened. She went into step number 5. She interpreted what the other person was saying. Oh my God, he's having an affair, which moved into step number 6. She thought of a response. I need to fill her in on what I saw at the supermarket, right? And then number 7, she responded and she said it out loud. No me digas. I saw them at the supermarket and I knew something was up. So do you see how communication works, right? You have the first person that comes up with a thought, organizes the thought in their head, shares a thought. Person number 2 comes in, they listen, interpret, think of a response, and then responds. The hard part about communication is nobody really taught us, Mira, these are the 7 steps. No, we just expect others to follow them just as they also expect for us to follow them, right? Expect us to listen or organize your thoughts before you speak, etc. Amigui, ahora que sabes these 7 steps, now that you know them, let's look back at those 2 miscommunication examples we mentioned at the very beginning. Do you remember the first one? You had sent a voice memo to your boss about this new idea you were excited about, and she replied, let's keep focused on your current priorities, but to later come back and say, I loved your idea. Why did this happen? Which step did she skip? If you guessed interpret, ding, 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 you guessed correct. Since she skipped this step of interpreting the message she received, she didn't actually consider it until a few hours later when she replied, I loved your idea. Now let's go on to example number 2. You try to have a conversation with a friend to explain why you felt hurt, but they interrupted you mid-sentence and were defensive and said, but that's not what I meant. Why did this happen? Which step did they skip? Ding, 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 listening. Part of the work here in this conversation between those 2 friends is, yes, emotional intelligence. And if you want more information on this, go back to episode number 4 called Want to Thrive, Stop Ignoring Emotional Intelligence. It'll explain what to do and how to manage emotions in real time. So, yes, part of the solution to this was emotional intelligence, being able to listen to the other person, understand where they're coming from, and also manage your own emotions at the same time. And part of it is communication. Now, the way I like to think of communication, not the cycle of communication, but communication at the core, is I like to break it up into 3 parts. You have the first part, which is words. You have body language, and you have tone. When you add in these 3 elements into the cycle of communication, it can get really messy. Now, amigui, you're not bad at communicating. You're just stuck in a broken cycle or analyzing other information like body language and tone. Nobody ever broke it down and taught it to us like this, but it affects our jobs, our friendships, and even our love lives. If this is hitting a nerve, like you're tired of second guessing yourself after meetings or getting stuck in conversations that go sideways, I've got a real solution for you. I'm holding a live workshop called Say It Right, How to Be Heard, and it's for ambitious professionals like you who are done shrinking in conversations. We'll break down the why behind communication, the how, and most importantly, we'll practice together. This isn't another recorded webinar you half watch. It's a live, game-based interactive workshop where you'll leave with tools you can actually use that same day. If you've ever felt stuck, unheard, or like your voice isn't landing the way you meant it to, this is for you. You'll stop overthinking, you'll start being heard, and you'll build better relationships at work, at home, in your friend groups, porque your voice deserves to be understood the first time. The workshop date options for this 1.5-hour workshop are either Monday, May 26th, Tuesday, May 27th, or Wednesday, May 28th. You pick which date works best for you. I've left the link down below for you to sign up in the show notes. P.S. If you're on my newsletter, check your inbox. Ya te llegó. Let's go back to that original question. Why do you walk away from certain conversations thinking, wait, that's not what I meant? Communication has 7 steps. If you or the other person is missing one or multiple, you can see where it can go sideways. If one gets skipped, your message breaks down. You're not bad at talking. You just need to understand the cycle and the tools to get your message across. You have big goals, amigui. Let's make sure your communication isn't what's holding you back. If you're ready for these tools, make sure to sign up for the course, Say It Right, How to Be Heard. Those date options again are Monday, May 26th, Tuesday, May 27th, and Wednesday, May 28th. The link is down in the show notes.
Zulean, ¿qué aprendiste esta semana?
Gracias, Julia Marie, por la pregunta. Mira, esta semana, this week, I realized taking a step back is needed to take a step forward. I'm going to say that line again. Taking a step back is needed to take a step forward. I was deep in the go, go, go mode. I was focused. I was zoned in, handling things, checking off boxes. And yet, I felt off. Grouchy. I was disconnected. I was in this weird limbo between kind of numb, but also irritated. And I kept pushing through like, nah, I'm good. I'm strong. Keep going. But amigui, strength without softness is just survival. And survival mode will burn you out. It wasn't until I paused, like truly paused, that everything clicked. The frustration, it wasn't about the task I was doing. It was my emotions. It was my body begging me to feel instead of just function. So if you've been in that mode lately, hyperproductive but low-key miserable, this is your gentle nudge. Zoom out, breathe, feel it. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need a moment to see yourself clearly again. On a lighter note, I want to give a shout out to my friend Javier. He's turning 30 today. Woo! Te estás poniendo viejo, amigo. That's a show, amigui. Si te gustó, if you liked it, make sure to share it, rate it, and write a review. ¿Qué aprendiste? What did you take away from today? Como siempre, I'm your amiga Zulean, and I am sending you off today con un huge abrazo, amigui. Nos vemos en la próxima.